Willkommen, bienvenue, and welcome. I am just another Pokedad, and if you know where I stole my intro from, you're my kind of geek, and I say geek lovingly. Thank you very much for joining me. Today we are going to profile a deck I had just profiled, a Zoroark, post-rotation Zoroark Macargo deck that I was working on. This is a little different. Earlier today, I was watching the lovely Ross over at PTCGOradio. I will pop a link in the description if I remember to. Otherwise, you should, if you have not been over to his channel, definitely check him out. He always has the best news, the most breaking news, the best videos, and he is, without a doubt, a lovely man. He was very kind. Met him in Dallas with my son. He took time out to talk with us. He is just a really lovely person who does great Pokemon videos. So please go check out his channel. But anyway, today he talked about Golisipod post-rotation and everything it was losing and could it still be viable. Well, I made a deck today thinking that I think it could be. Based on this. So I'm going to run over this. It's a Zoroark Golisipod deck, post-rotation. So we're losing float stones, we're losing parallel cities, we're losing a bunch of things that had made this deck work well. A version finished third, fourth at North American International Championships. So clearly it's a contender deck pre-rotation. Could it be after? I'm going to test out a deck to see. So let's run through it. 4 copies of Zorua, because again, it's a Zoroark deck here. Zoroark, 4 copies of Zoroark-GX, that trade ability. The beauty thing is, Garbotoxin's gone. You are not going to lose that trade ability very easily. So, if at all, I can't even think of anything coming up currently. So, trade is great. Ritus Beating is a great attack. You're not going to be parallel citied down post-rotation, so you're going to hit for 120. You're going to two-shot just about anything. You got 210. So, a great card that I think actually stays great and maybe gets better post-rotation. We're running 3 copies of Wimpod, and I've chose to run the Wimp Out Wimpod. That way it has no retreat cost on turn 1. And it's got 70 HP. So we're running 3 copies of Wimpod, 2 copies of Golisipod. First impression, for 1 grass energy, 30 plus 90 if it becomes active that turn. So that's the attack you want. But we are running DCEs, so Armor Press does 100, and you take 30 less next turn. But really, Crossing Cut GX is also for the same. You do a 150, and you get to free retreat. So that's pretty good. 210 HP. So this is your main attacker in this deck. You want to be moving it back and forth and dealing damage. We're running 2 copies of Slugma, new in Celestial Storm, which evolves into Macargo. And Macargo is the key, going to be the best partner with Zoroark. I imagine every Zoroark deck running this card in the future. The ability is called Smooth Over. You search your deck for 1 card, put it on top of shuffle your deck, put that card on top of your deck. So you see how it works. Synergy with Zoroark. You trade into any card you want every turn. Awesome. Awesome. And I think that's how this deck will work post-rotation. And I'll show you the keys. We're running 2 Tapu Leles for Wonder Tag. Okay, so that's your Pokemon line, and I'm sorry we've got a lot of glare there, but hopefully you saw them when we were in the close-ups. All right, I'm going to run through the supporters. 1 copy of Pokemon Fan Club. Again, I've said it before, it is not a Bridget substitute, but this is one of the few things we have moving forward. So Fan Club allows you to search for 2 basic Pokemon, put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. The thing Fan Club has over Bridget, good early game, good late game, because it allows you to get Lele and into your hand without going to your bench. So Pokemon Fan Club, we've got 1 copy of that. We're running only 1 copy of Cynthia. Our deck is built around draw support. So having Cynthia is not terrible. I mean, giant draw support cards is not going to be the end-all be-all of this deck, but we are going to run 1. We are running 2 copies of Judge, which you and your opponent both shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 4 cards. Again, when you have Zoroark out, you can go down to 4 and then back up. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, I don't know. But you can get what you need quickly. So Judge is there to really disrupt your opponent maybe at key moments. We are running 2 copies of Mallow. So Macargo is a ability version of a half Mallow, getting you 1 card. Mallow gets you 2 on top of your deck. The beauty is if you have multiple Zoroarks, you could get 3 cards in a turn that you select. Now, granted, you could do that with Steven's Resolve, but that ends your turn. So this deck is not running Steven's Resolve because we're not going to want to end our turn. We have all our draw support that we need. 2 copies of Tate and Liza coming in Celestial Storm. Again, a little draw support. It's like a Shauna. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 5 cards. But it also has a built-in switch. So you choose either to shuffle your hand and draw 5 cards if you need to draw, or switch your active with one of your bench. This is going to work really well with Golisipod because you have either or choices, which is nice. We are running 3 copies of Acerola. Again, this gets something out of the active and allows Golisipod to move into the active and do its first impression damage. Also, it helps you keep your Golisipods rolling. So we're running 3 Acerolas. We are running 3 copies of Guzma. Again, Guzma, same thing. Getting your Golisipod active, also targeting down what you want to knock out. So 3 of those. We could run 4, but with Tate and Liza, I feel like we've got our switch abilities as supporters between the 2. We're running 2 copies of Timer Ball. It's a coin flip card, but you could get 2 of your evolutions, which this deck runs 3 different stage 1s. So you definitely need to be able to, because we don't have Eva Soda in the format anymore, we don't have Wally. This is a quicker way to hopefully grab 2, hopefully 1 at the very least. So Timer Balls, we're running 4 Ultra Balls. This is not a deck you really want to be discarding a lot with, so ideally, I mean, Ultra Ball is a great card, but you know, you don't want to lose everything in here. I feel like is so important. So, and then we are running 4 copies of Switch, which may be a long line of Switch. And so you may find that you don't need all this with everything else. But what I like about this, as I was testing a little bit earlier, is with Macargo, you can Guzma and switch on the same turn. So if your Golisipod that you want to attack with is active, you can switch and then Guzma something, or you Guzma something and then switch. But it's a great little 1-2 punch that you can guarantee, you know, by having 1 in your hand or Macargo. So I like running the 4 switches right now, seem to be working well for me. We are running 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer. to help with disrupting, especially against Zoroark decks, which can be a pain. So we are running 1 copy of Field Blower. I've thought about moving that up to 2, but post-rotation, I'm just not sure how desperate you're going to need Field Blowers. We're running 1 copy of Escape Rope. Again, this could be a cut card because we're running the Switches and the Guzmas and the Tate and Lizas. This might be overkill, but we're testing. This is testing. 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. This is the card I kind of want maybe 2 of. So that would be, if I were to get rid of Escape Rope, I might put another Rescue Stretcher in, because you don't want to lose your Golisopods necessarily. You want to be able to get them back should they get knocked out. Or your Macargos, or, so that's kind of that. Counter Catcher, simple enough, wins you games when you need it. It's a dead card until it's not, but if your opponent has more prizes, you basically switch one of their bench Pokemon to their active, and then you knock it out. That's what you need to do, and that wins you games right there. We are running 1 copy of Choice Band. The thing is, in this deck, most of what we're running doesn't hit the numbers. Choice Band will on the Golisipod's GX move will get you up to 180, which does knock out Lele's and the upcoming Rayquaza, so that's why we've got it in there. Just so when you need to, you can hit the 1-shot on those. We are running 1 copy of Weakness Policy. This is mainly for when Zoroark comes up against Buzzwole, mainly. So, and the beauty is, it's there as a trade card if you're not worried about it, and it's there for Macargo to just grab whenever you need it. And then, because we're running so few tool cards, I'm running 2 copies of Lysander Labs, mainly so you can get rid of your opponents, because we're only running 1 Field Blower. It's a way to get rid of pesky stadiums, and believe me, there's a pesky stadium coming up, especially against decks like this, that'll deal 10 damage every turn. Shrine of Punishment is going to be a rough one, so getting rid of that is important. But this, helps you negate your opponent's Choice Bands or whatever. So I like it, especially in a deck where you're really not running very many tools, so it doesn't hurt you as much. And then we're running 4 copies of Double Colorless and 3 Grass Energies. Don't need a lot, and with Macargo's search abilities, you should be able to get what you need when you need it. So that's the deck. I would love to hear your thoughts, and stay tuned, because we're going to run we're going to do a testing against the Stack Attack deck that I built earlier. So thank you very much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts, and hopefully we'll see how this works out. Post-rotation Zoroark Golisipod deck. Thank you for watching. Remember to be happy, be safe, and be kind.